Welcome to In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I'm Eric Marsh. Thank you very much for spending part of your time with me. I am obviously not in the studio. Spring, oh no, it's fall. It has brought us a very sunny day. So we decided to come hang out at the landfill. What?
No.
Okay. No, we didn't. We decided to come hang out at the Richmond Sanitary District. These are the folks who, there's a lot that goes on here. As a matter of fact, I'm in part of the sanitary district that I have never been in. I'm back at the MRF.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's
Material recovery facility or material recycling facility.
okay, material recovery or recycling facility, and I'm with Ty and Becca. Ty is the crew leader. Becca is a driver and is going to be driving. It's a new recycling truck, right?
Yes.
It's a new recycling truck. We're going to tell you about being able to recycle cardboard, reducing, reusing, recycling, sewer overflows, and all kinds of, oh man, it's just going to be one of those, let me tell you. First of all, thank you all very much for spending some time with me. Really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Let's start with recycling. What you all take right now and how you hope to and expect to see it. And we'll show you why what you do with your recycling is real important, because these folks have a floor that it actually doesn't look that bad, but the piles are big and there's manual labor involved, and we want to cut down on their manual labor and make this whole recycling thing more efficient for the community. So let's try that. Let's start with the one everybody knows, which is the blue recycling can. How about we do that?
That is what we drive through every other week. We do routes on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
Okay.
And with us here, we are only equipped to take your number ones in plastic, twos, which is your soap containers.
That's a two.
That's a two also.
Okay.
Then we take aluminum cans, the steel,
Glass.
and glass. All right.
Glass.
Yes, glass.
Okay, let's start with the glass. This glass does not have a lid on top of it.
No.
Is that on purpose?
Yes.
Why?
It is for the a lot of it, with it not being glass, it has to be taken off.
Okay.
Correct?
It still has a label. Does that matter?
The label should be peeled ideally, but there's a certain amount of, they take that into account when they receive it. A lot of there's people out there that will strip all the labels off, and you'll have plain steel cans.
And clean them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rinse them, and that's the way it should be.
Okay.
It gets pretty nasty in here without it.
So you all would like, everybody's not going to do it, but at
Right.
least no metal lids.
Right.
If possible, and somebody has kids that they want to give them a job to do, strip the label and rinse it out.
Yep.
Yep.
Inside.
Inside.
Okay. That's
Inside.
simple enough. Steel cans.
Yep.
Just rinse out.
Rinse them out, peel the label, but if you don't, like I said, ideally you want everything as clean as possible.
Okay. Rinse out.
Number
The
two.
numbers on the bottoms of these, they vary in a lot of
They do.
different ways. Is there, I think I have a friend. You only take ones, twos,
And-
nothing higher than two?
Nope. We're not equipped to do that.
Okay, nothing higher than a two in the plastic.
Yep.
This has a lid on it. Good or bad?
I said ideally
You
the
take
lids
them
are
off. But
usually different plastics, so they should be taken off.
Okay. Soda cans. Do these all day long.
all day.
Easy.
Yep.
Okay, just rinse them out.
Yep.
Toss them in.
Toss them in.
Newspaper.
Newspaper, ideally, when we pull up to a resident, we would like it to be bound or bagged and to be sitting on top of the container.
Okay. Not inside the container,
Right.
but on top of the container is
Yes.
where newspapers go.
Yes.
And they should be bagged in a brown paper bag.
They could be that, or like residents do put them in plastic, but that way they're separated when we come back, because the trucks are equipped with one side commingled, the other side with a newspaper or magazines.
Okay. But on top, outside.
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about what you don't want.
Okay. We can show you some examples.
Okay. Examples are good.
Hi. Okay, so examples that we don't
I
take.
can help you.
All right. Is, if you look at the bottom of some of these, this is a 5. Your McDonald's cups. They're 5s. We're not equipped to take them.
Okay.
Same with this one. It's a 5.
I'm holding 2 5s.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're not equipped to take 5s, 7s.
And there's 3 also.
Yeah, there's 3s.
Very, very rarely on that.
Okay.
But those we're not equipped to take. And just like also your frosted, which has what's something that's frosted? Some of the jelly jars.
Okay.
They're frosted.
Yes.
We can't take those.
No
'cause-
frosted jars.
Pedialyte
Yep.
and
Yes.
electrolyte things are in a bottle that cannot be taken.
Okay.
We're not equipped to take those.
Okay.
So it's the 1s, the 2s, your milk jugs, aluminum, steel, and glass.
Okay. That's what you take.
Newspapers, white paper.
You don't take styrofoam of any kind.
Nope.
If I have styrofoam, where does it go?
So in your
In the trash.
green container.
Okay, you can put styrofoam in that. Okay. So anything that you cannot put in here can go in there.
Yes.
All of this
Yep.
in there, no problems.
Yep. The only things that cannot go in there, if you want to get into that yet,
see? I knew that there was something.
the only things that cannot go in there is your hazardous materials, your paint, your gasoline, construction stuff. All that cannot go inside of the Rosie container.
Okay. All right. That's part of it. The exciting news is that soon Richmond Sanitary District will be taking, and it is soon. Is it before
Yes.
the end of the year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
New trucks coming in.
This is her.
Ooh, it's shiny. New trucks, and people will be able to get a new container.
Yes.
Correct.
That's big. That's bigger. Well, that's as big
it's
as
the
that
same
one.
as the it's the same as the Rosies.
Cardboard only.
Yes. Corrugated cardboard only.
Brown cardboard.
It does not say corrugated on that.
No, but we do have because we've not dispersed any of these yet.
Okay.
We're going to start dispersing those this weekend, actually. And when a container is dropped off, it will have a list of the do's and the don'ts that we do not take.
Okay.
Because most public, when they hear cardboard, they think cereal boxes or pop boxes.
Sure.
And a
That's not.
cereal box or a pop box is actually called a chipped board, and it's more of a mixed paper type. So you can go in with your, if you recycle your newsprint, stuff like that, it should go in with that.
Okay. So cereal boxes, you say, could go with your
Newsprint.
would go with your newspapers.
Bundled together.
Bundled together.
Okay. So you can take them, just not here.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about, so that people understand, corrugated.
Your corrugated cardboard is where you have your little wavy lines. It's thick. It's mainly your Amazon, Walmart boxes, all of those. It's the corrugated, the thicker stuff with the wavy lines.
Okay. These all seem to be fairly uniform in size.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's on purpose?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Because with picking up the cardboard is going to be picked up with an automated truck. It's not going to be getting out and getting it. This here will be coming out with the claw, picking it up, and then dumping it. So if these are not cut down and they're shoved down in there, when I come by to pick them up, they're going to get lodged in there and it's not going to dump. So if we have them cut to certain measurements, which I think is 17 by 36,
Yes. That
then
gives you a good, it'll fit in the box. It'll fit down below the lid at 36. 1/17 usually side-to-side covers so that they aren't wedging. So as long as the box is small enough that it won't wedge inside, you just want it to slide out easily. And that's what it says on top.
So,
Yep.
fits, slides out easily, you're in good shape. So
Yes.
if you're not an exact size, but as long as you know it comes out, we're in
Yes.
good shape.
Thing with the truck is hopefully these are stout enough that they won't pinch them a little bit, keep them going out, keep things from sliding out. That tends to happen with the trash trucks,
Okay.
the older containers especially.
For people who may just be hearing this information, I know Whitewater Community Television has been airing a public service announcement about this, but if folks are just beginning to hear this information, if they are interested in getting one of these, what do they need to do?
You can actually go to the City of Richmond website, and there is areas there to where you can go fill out the survey and put in your address and request a cardboard container. Or you could also call the number on the side of the containers, which is 983-7450, and you can request one that way.
Okay.
I think those are the ways.
Okay. Is there anything else that you need people to know about what it is that you all do, how they can help you? I know one of the questions that people are going to ask, why can't you take 5, 7, and some of the other things? When you go to some larger communities, people are able to put everything in the recycling bin and it goes away. And basically for most people, the easier this is, the higher the compliance.
Right. Well, we are not equipped to take everything else. If we were equipped, it'd be great that we could do so.
Okay.
And, you know, like, we're equipped with the things that I've said, like the number 1s, the 2s, the milk jugs, glass, steel, and aluminum.
Okay.
If we grow and hopefully upgrade eventually, then we can go take on the bigger things, the more things. That way, the more that we can recycle and help the environment, the more
Sure.
it saves at our landfill.
Right.
And that's better on everybody.
Okay. We're spending some time with Becca and Ty here at the Richmond Sanitary District on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. Appreciate you spending some time with us, finding out about how we can reduce, reuse, recycle, make things more efficient, cleaner. So we're hanging out, getting the information, and also announcing the fact that very soon, very shortly, within a couple of weeks probably of this show airing,
Yeah.
you will have a chance to begin recycling corrugated cardboard. Now, some of the cardboard that most people would think about, you're saying pizza boxes, things that now pizza boxes
yes.
are corrugated. Talk about what those need to look like or be like to be put in here.
When it comes to the pizza boxes, like if there is a big mound of grease or cheese,
No.
those need cut out.
Okay.
So, like, even if it's just the insert on the, like, from your pizza place's boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get store-bought, we don't take those. Those are, once again, the chipboard.
Yeah.
So we won't be able to take those.
Okay.
Unless you break them down, put them with your
You
newspaper.
put the chipboard with the newspaper. The corrugated would go in here, but it
The
needs
greasy
to be
material would be just thrown in with your trash when you're
Yep.
roasting.
okay.
So
if
the way-
it's incredibly
way
greasy,
Places
Trash.
are doing it now. You could just about just take that insert piece out, discard it, and the rest of the pizza box should be okay.
okay. Have you seen through time? How long have you been with the sanitary district?
I'm in my 11th year.
Okay.
I'm
Becca?
going into my 5th.
Okay. Have you seen, from a recycling standpoint, have you seen more of the community trying to get involved in this? Has it been kind of static? Or talk a little bit about what's happening out there and what you all are seeing in this endeavor.
There is a lot of people that recycle. There's a lot of neighborhoods that are big on recycling. The more people we could get to recycle would be amazing, but you could tell by the different neighborhoods of where you're going to go, where you're going to see the recycling, and where you're not.
Okay. Are you finding that to be true so far in the requests for the
Yes.
containers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's the same as the recycler, or the Richies, which are the blue ones. It's the same as those. Those people that have those in certain neighborhoods, they're all requesting the cardboard one.
Okay. So phone number to call, information on the sheet, follow through. There's a survey just to find out people's interest, and then before the end of the year, cardboard.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
What's the noise in the room?
That is a baler. Everything that we bring into the MRF that we sort, we put into the bins that they're separated in. Once it gets to a certain fill, we have to send it down and we bale it ourselves. Send it through the baler, we bale it, gets weighed, and then it eventually gets shipped out.
Okay. Is this a losing proposition for the city?
We make money on some stuff better than others. That would be a question for the director.
We'll talk to him later. The director being Pat Smoker.
Don't get to see all that. We're seeing more and more of it. He's getting us more and more involved in the different aspects of it, and wanting the input of the employees to help make the right decisions for what we need and what we think would help make things more efficient in each job.
Have you had this out on the street yet?
No, actually today, moving it right here is the first time that I've drove it.
How's it drive?
I'm excited to get her out there.
Okay. We'll be looking forward to it. Becca, Ty, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Richmond Sanitary District curbside current and upcoming services in your neighborhood. Bag trash goes in your green Rosie roller. Loose unbagged recyclables go in your blue Richie roller. Aluminum and steel cans, plastic bottles and jugs, glass bottles and jars, newspapers and magazines. Coming soon, folded and broken down corrugated cardboard will be collected in a new tan roller. Please complete a few survey questions so we can determine your interest in curbside cardboard collection. No access to internet? Please call Debbie Tevis at 765-983-7456 to sign up.
Welcome back to In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. Unfortunately, we had to give up the sunshine and move back inside. We are inside the Richmond Sanitary District. Before we begin our next conversation, Steve Bonwig is helping me out. Show the inside of the container room. We were showing some of the things that you can put into the recycling container. They were bagged up. They should not be bagged when they go into the recycling container. Those should be loose, as you are seeing on the screen. So just know that don't bag your recyclables, put them loosely in the container. We have a chance to spend some time with Pat Smoker, who is the director of the Richmond Sanitary District. Is that the only title you're carrying?
For the most part, I do also serve as the backup operator record for the facility, the wastewater treatment facility. And I'm still kind of playing some of my old duties as superintendent until we finish a construction project we're doing here. So.
Talk a little bit about your time here at Richmond Sanitary District. How long have you been here? What are the jobs you've held? And what's it been like stepping into that director's position?
Busy. But I started in wastewater overall about 16, 17 years ago. With the Sanitary District, I've been here for 12, 13 years at this point. I started off in the laboratory, kind of doing a lot of the environmental chemistry work here, and that's where my background in education come from. And it just kind of fell into everything, kind of like the story I know of everybody who came to wastewater. You know, it's not a glamorous topic, but those of us who got here are very passionate about the environment, and once you kind of find out what this is, you kind of stick around. It's from a wastewater side, even here, on an average day, we clean about 11 million gallons of water a day to put back into the river. So environmentally, impact-wise, is huge. So I've just been passionate and worked hard on that, and they just kind of, as people left, they keep offering me to take jobs that are open for whatever reason. But I started in lab, then I went to the superintendent and served as the superintendent/operator record, which is, operator record is, wastewater is regulated by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, and it's just, you act as the liaison for all reporting and events that go on to IDEM. So, but it is an official title that's required. So, but I served as that. Until about May of last year, and the mayor approached me and Amani Murphy in HR, and asked if I would serve as the interim director in a vacancy. I did, and after about 10 months, I relented and took the position full time.
I like the way you said that. I relented.
Yes, the Mayor Snow always says that he likes reluctant leaders, and it seems to be the story of a few in the leadership roles within the city, but it's definitely a case. So.
As a reluctant leader, and we've got some things we want to talk about, but a couple of members of your team, Ty and Becca, mentioned that you were really asking some of the employees about how they feel about things, about how to make things better. Correct. Do you think your willingness to go to the employees and do that comes from your being a reluctant leader, somebody who has been behind the scenes, has worked, and knows that maybe sometimes some of the best suggestions come from those that are actually doing the work?
I think that's very true. I think it's a couple folds here on how that works. I think that they have very intimate knowledge of their area, and I think it's great for them to be given an opportunity to voice that, whether it's in a thing like this or I hold regular staff meetings, and I kind of hear their input, and I want their input on the budget. I want their input on all these pieces, and it also makes my life easier. I mean, the more people who are invested in buying into the job and the more that they do, I don't want to say it makes me do less, but it does. Sharing the work, I think, goes a long way to making the environment good down here, and like I said, us doing the best job we can do. So.
Okay. We've talked about a couple of things, and we're talking a lot about truly what the community sees, touches. Mm-hmm. We talked about recycling, the new corrugated containers that are going to be coming out if people want, solid waste somewhat. Talk about, and I say it only because I had one done very recently, within the last week or so, mm-hmm. Special pickups. There is always a question about what should go in a curb, what do I need to call a big orange container for? Can you talk a little bit about how that's decided and what the community needs to be thinking about?
Correct. So obviously, if you're talking your normal Rosie with your household trash, you can't put a couch in there, right? So there's things like that. So we offer a service that's no extra charge for residents within the district, and it is special pickups. So that's really, if it's something that would normally go into your Rosie, but it's too large to go into your Rosie, or you have just more than you can, it may just even be, you have more than your 2 Rosies or your 1 Rosie, whatever your case may be. Mm-hmm. If you just have more than that, it's just an opportunity for us to come pick that up for you. So it is something we've really tried to work hard to let people know. I mean, it's a free service. We've been going around as a sanitary district for years doing cleanups and touching alleyways, and we're okay with doing that, but there's a service year-round that's available at just a phone call away, and we will come collect this stuff for you. There is obviously on our website, there's some things that obviously cost a little bit more money. There's tires and free unloaded appliances, and so we do put that out there. But most regular household trash is collected at no fee with special pickups.
Okay, so appliances, tree limbs. There are some things that people need to know. Same as with the Rosie Roller or the Richie Roller, which is mm-hmm. the recycling.
Correct.
They were talking about newspaper. Mm-hmm. You don't just toss the newspaper in, you try to bundle it up, you try to do something. Same thing on the special pickup with like limbs and things of that nature.
Correct. It helps us if they're sorted out. Once we collect it in our truck and we take it to the landfill, obviously different things have different places, so it helps us if we can have them sorted out. And when you call in, we have someone who will ask what it is, and we list that out for the driver, so they're prepared to see what it looks like there. But we will ask you to kind of keep different natured items separate from each other. Yard waste will go someplace else at the landfill, and we'll typically just do 1 truck for yard waste. But appliances or household waste will be separate. So
the roll-off container, I mentioned the big orange container, which is a roll-off container. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about the difference of what goes in that as opposed to what you would call for a special pickup, because I would think that's large enough to put a couch in. Why wouldn't I call for that roll-off to put the couch in as opposed to just...
So they're very, very similar in their use. It's kind of the nature to the customer to an extent. If you look at our website, there's a limit on the special pickup, how much we can collect that route. The roll-off is just a larger unit. It's just a much larger unit. You can fit a lot more. So if you're really looking at, you're moving and you're cleaning out your whole house and you're talking lots and lots of stuff, it's better to go with the roll-off than it is special pickup, as there's a limit on how much we can run with special pickups.
Okay. Landfill. You mentioned the household waste and things of that nature. I know somebody who has made runs to the landfill.
I'm sure.
I understand that can be at times a very busy place. Talk about that as part of this entity.
The landfill, Richmond is very lucky. We are one of the few municipalities that own our own landfill. And as such, it has kept rates very low for Richmond citizens, so we're very proud of that. But it is a very busy place. And that's only growing as we've kind of come into a time frame where a lot of things are disposable and throwaway. That obviously is going to have to be collected somewhere. So the overall tons coming to landfill is definitely increasing year after year. Right now, I think we were at around 60,000 tons of just solid waste that comes to our landfill per year. It's quite a load.
We're not that large.
Yeah. You wouldn't think, but we do receive a lot of material. Part of that, we're ramping up recycling. We're starting this corrugated cardboard, and that's out of that. I mean, we've always been able to have a drop-off spot at the landfill for recyclables. So if you didn't have a Ritchie or you just had a lot, you could always take it to landfill, and there's drop-off containers for all the specific types of recyclables we take. But we saw that cardboard just growing and growing, and then it was also a lot of people were throwing it into their regular waste, so it was filling up the landfill, and that's something we could take out and extend the life of our landfill if we started recycling it. So we try to target things of that nature, but yeah, the landfill is very busy. It's just another option. There's a few things that we don't collect on special pickup or the roll-off that we do accept, but we ask that you bring those in. Some of those things would be like paints or solvents of things of that nature. They have to be kept separate. We're not a hazardous landfill, so we will take things like that and household hazardous waste like batteries, fluorescent bulbs, but then we house them in a very special spot there, and then they get carted off to a hazardous landfill somewhere else. Okay. So we don't collect special pickup because that stuff would obviously be hard to contain with the myriad of other household waste in a special pickup. Like, how would I really keep paint separate if I'm picking it up in this way? So right. We do ask that those things get dropped off the landfill, but again, it's primarily anything that would be in special pickup as well, or the roll-off, or just stuff that would go in your Rosie's or Ritchie's that you can't fit in. The landfill is another spot, just a drop-off site for all that material. So
the ramp up of cardboard, and you mentioned why. And I asked Ty and Becca a question. They said that would be a question for our director.
Okay,
recycling. We want to be able to do it. In our minds as citizens, we want to be able to do it. It's easier if everything that we think is recyclable could be. They explain that we're not large enough in some areas to be able to take the 5s, the 6s, the 7s in plastic and things
Correct.
of that nature. But the question I asked them was, is this like a financially losing effort for Richmond, our recycling program? How are we doing in that way?
So a little bit that's hard to judge. Our recycling program, is built into your tax dollars is the way it comes out. There's not a specific tax for recyclables. It's overall things, and it's allotted money. If you look at what we allot to our recycling program, it's pretty close to a break-even program. The boon in the end, though, is it's not going into your landfill now, so it's an extra cost, a savings, because now you're extending the life of your landfill. And again, having our own and close by keeps that charge way down. For what it costs. So again, the longer I can make that last, the longer these low rates last for Richmond citizens. So,
talk a little bit about that, because there was conversation at one point that it might be advantageous for Richmond to sell off its landfill, that there are companies who do that privately. You have said a couple of times that it's a benefit to us to have our own landfill. Can you, from a person who's running this organization, can you talk about that a little bit, those two sides?
A little. I mean, I don't have any of the data necessarily in front of me, but in a municipality standpoint, we are an at cost. We try to run it at cost. We're environmental stewards, but also economic stewards. If it's a private company, it is no longer an at-cost thing. It is a privatization thing. It's capitalism. It's going to be trying to garner money. So in that rate, in that sense alone, it typically costs more money. There's horror stories both ways. If you look at privatization, there's a lot of them that it gets kind of sticky. The city still ultimately owns your landfill, and it's really third party running it and all this, but you run into regulatory problems, or they filled it up really quickly and now you have to third party, but you have to truck it further, so your price goes up because that company was looking at making money. So instead of just taking waste kind of in their general area, they allow waste to come in from everywhere, that, you know. And again, I don't have the data in front of me, but generally cost goes up that way. It's for profit, and that's how it is run. So our standpoint is keeping it an at-cost service to the community. It depends on different data we look at, but we have somewhere between 30 and 50 years of life expected to still be at our landfill site. So it's closer than it sounds. I mean, you think about it, there's probably a kid out there now who will be the director or the mayor of the town when something else has to come about, you know, so it's not that far, one generation away essentially. But yeah, we work very hard to try to keep that cost down and be an at cost.
What happens at the end of that 30, 50 years? Do we have to find a new site? Can we go reopen something that we've closed because it's all composted itself? What?
Most likely we won't be able to open anything back up the way that the process works and the way you do it. As we build cells, not to get too deep in the weeds, but a cell with the base of its footprint can only be so tall. As we keep building the base footprint out and adding new cells, then you can come back in and go up a little bit, and we factor that into our data. At the end of the time frame, you'd most likely be looking at either A, a new site, or B, you go to someplace like Rumpke's. We cart the service off, where we may create a waste transfer station where we hold it and somebody else is going to take it to some other landfill at that point.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. Thank you very much for spending some time with me. We're at the Richmond Sanitary District talking with Pat Smoker, Director. And whether you're watching this on a Thursday night or over through the weekend, whether you're watching it on WGTV Online or Video On Demand site, or maybe it's early on a Sunday morning and you're doing some workout and you're just listening to the audio on G1013 or their sister station 1490 and 100.9 ESPN Radio WKBV, we really do appreciate your time. I say this a lot because there are things that people who grew up here are very well aware of. I moved here in 1988, and one of the things that really jumped out at me was the amount of times that, and I worked for the radio station at the time, the amount of times that we would get messages from the Richmond Sanitary District about staying away from the Whitewater River because there was an overflow, or there were people who were, particularly on the west side of town, I'm sure it was in other places, that were getting a lot of water in their basements. There has been this effort to separate the sewer system from help me out here, I'm not gonna know
the
stormwater and the sanitary. Talk a little bit about that process. We're not hearing about those issues as much. We are not hearing as much about flooding in people's basements. Talk about how that process has gone on. And we've had a chance to talk to Elijah Welsh about it, particularly last time when there was a rate increase, and he was saying this was to continue this work. Talk about that work and how it has gone.
Correct. So Richmond, like many communities across the United States, was a combined sewer. And what that means is your storm and your sanitary. So stormwater would be like runoff from a parking lot, the street, gutters from houses, things like that. And then sanitary is obviously your toilets, industrial waste processes of that nature. And as these sewers were built, some of these were built a little over 100 years ago. They weren't thinking about separation. In fact, at that time, there probably wasn't even a wastewater treatment plant. It was all designed to convey it to the river straight. As the wastewater plant came on to treat, but still, when you would get these heavy rain flows, it exceeds the capacity of your treatment plant. And that's what a combined sewer overflow is. It's points designed to allow water to go out before it exceeds the wastewater treatment plant's capacity. And the wastewater treatment plant here is designed at 18 million gallons with a peak flow of 36 million gallons. It is not abnormal like you said, we've done a lot of work, but even now it's not abnormal to see 90 or 100 million trying to come into the facility.
Wow.
So, but before that, it far exceeded even that at that point. But you are right. I don't remember the exact year we started it, but there was an order put out federally, and states adopted it, but where each community had to separate out its sewer system into storm and sanitary. And there's a lot of different criteria that we won't get into of different ways you could approach that. And we spent a lot of time as a district, I know, looking through what best fit us economically and the system that we had in place of how to do that. And what we chose is a method that leaves us having to create a system that would hold the statistical once every 10 years storms peak 1 hour flow. But at the time when we started this, which was approximately 20 years ago, we had about 20 to 30 CSO outfalls throughout the community. Mm-hmm. We're down to realistically only 3 operating outfalls.
Wow.
So the amount of raw wastewater that goes to the Whitewater river has greatly been reduced over that time. Part of the basement backups, and I'm not looking back at all that data right now, but as you exceed your sewer's capacity when everything was still combined and that sewer gets there, obviously the water has to go somewhere. It's either not flushing in your home or it's backing up to low spots such as basements. So as we've separated large chunks of this system, the capacity has been restored to the sanitary side. So you're not seeing that backup. So we've seen somewhere close to 90% reduction in basement backups, in sewer overflows and that nature. So we've come a long way. The last portion of this project, which is set to be done somewhere between 2027 and 2030.
It's coming up pretty quickly.
We definitely feel that. We've done a lot of preliminary design work and testing out. We piloted a couple new technologies just early this year on which route definitively we're going to take for this. But what we have to do then is that peak flow that we've talked about designing it to will allow roughly a maximum flow of 100 million gallons to come to the treatment plant. Again, its peak is designed at 36, so we are charged with having to build a facility that will handle that other 64 or so million gallons. And it's a high rate treatment facility. It's not quite the same as an overall wastewater treatment facility, but a similar concept, but it'll be like a 1 process versus like a 4 process or 5 processes in a normal treatment plant. So, but it will trim that down to, again, it will only operate under these high flows, but it's designed to do that quickly and still meet our regulatory effluent limits as if it went through the entire treatment plant. So once we complete that piece, that really wraps up that separating of the sewers is called the long-term control plan, but we'll be wrapping that up around 2030.
The sewers under the city at that point will actually be, I would think, for a community this age, in pretty good shape, which is really what you would want, correct?
Very much so. I mean, we have a little over 300 miles of sewer within the Richmond Sanitary District. Weirdly though, some of the best sewers are some of the old 100-year-old brick sewers. They've just worked out really well. Now, we're always evaluating them. There's some rehab and lining work that goes involved. I mean, they're not just as is, but at this point, you're correct. We've looked at a lot of them, and if it needed work, it's had its work done. And part of the long-term control plan, and I'd have to really get in to the data, but I believe it's approximately once every 7 years we are designed to have cleaned every mile of that sewer. So we allot out basically 1/7. So we go through, clean it, we camera it, or we have another equipment that is kind of like sonar that will kind of do a rapid evaluation of these. Okay. But basically we'll be looking at everything once every 7 years. We're going to highlight areas that we find to be troublesome, like maybe roots are growing really bad in certain areas. So there may be some areas that get more frequent than that. But then once we get it done and keep always doing our PM work on it and hopefully keep it for a long, long time.
As you all have been able to make some of these changes, have you also been able to make some efficiencies? You mentioned technology. Technology gets better, efficiency gets better. Is there any cost savings involved?
For sure, there's that, and a couple aspects is how you rehab a sewer. There's definitely been new technologies, new ways to line things that have saved the district money in that. Another piece was The wastewater treatment plant down here is designed, like I said, $36 million. Over time, some of that had degraded and the peak had been somewhere between 24 and 27, but as part of the long-term control plan identified whatever that 15, 20 years ago, upgrading and rehabbing the facility once we'd separated out some of the lines was coming about, and we're almost finished with about 30 months straight of construction. Been a very fun process, but it'd be a lot less work for me once that's wrapped up here in a couple months. But part of that, we have in wastewater treatment, we're an activated sludge process. This was an aerobic process. We use these large blowers to feed air for mixing and for the biological activity to take place. Those were really a little bit past their expected life. So as we were doing this project to regain our capacity back, we touched this blower technology, and it's right now we've only had it up since about May, but we've seen about a $15,000 to $18,000 a month savings in electricity. So expecting about $250,000 in electricity. So it's just when we touch these things, we look for more energy efficient ways to do things. We try to do the old, I think it was a Roman saying, build it once, use it twice. So we're always trying to, as we do that, we talk to regulators and we try to look at what new regulations might be coming in 5 to 10 years. So as I design this now, can I easily either retrograde it or make a small modification that will meet that new regulation, trying to be prepared to do that ahead of time so that we don't spend the money to build something this elaborate and then have to redo it halfway through its lifespan, have to recreate something new. So we're always trying to make sure that it'll be good for its entire lifespan. So.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're speaking with Pat Smoker, Director of Richmond Sanitary District. A couple of things I want to touch on. We're probably down to our last 9 minutes or so. Wastewater treatment. I know one of the things that really kind of came out as a talking point near the beginning of the pandemic when there were a lot of people at home. Getting people to think about what they put where, particularly in their toilet bowls. There's a lot of things that we see that say they're flushable. Word coming out of not just yours, but various sanitary districts and things are, no matter what they say, no, they're not. Can you talk about where some of you all's issues have come? Again, particularly as people were home and kids were home, and there's no telling what ends up in the...
Correct. And wastewater is the part I've spent most of my career, and normally when I give tours here, it's over an hour long just to do that. So I'll try to keep it pared down here for our last few minutes. But yeah, in that campaign we did, the toilets are not trash. I mean, flushable means it will go down, but it doesn't mean it should go down. What we run into is, so a lot of our sewers are gravity sewer, which means it's designed at a slope to keep wastewater moving at a certain velocity over the course of its time. Obviously, at some point in time, that grade gets too low and we have to use what's a lift station. So it's a pump that will lift the water back up to a new height and then let it go gravity back again. With that though, in these pumps, the thing is with these flushable wipes toilet paper itself will break down, but a flushable wipe doesn't actually break down. So it's this wipe that enters in. It will join other things that shouldn't go down. Grease is a big piece, so we're always working with restaurants and industrial and commercial users to use, proper grease separators. But as that comes down, it will bind together, and the actual technical term is a fatberg or a greaseberg. They do create these wads, and it blocks up pumps. If a pump isn't working, then you're going to get backups in sewer that can lead to basement backups, as the capacity fills. It also leads to a lot of maintenance on our time repairing pumps. So we really try to stress it from there to keep, costs down and our efficiency down. It just, put things where they should go. Wipes, and you're correct. If you can name it, we've probably seen it in wastewater. All kinds of weird things. And we stress this when we do tours. There's a lot of plastic trash that people flush as well, or it seems to get out into the system. And we have some mechanical screens at the front of the plant that will pull trash out. And it goes in, it gets rinsed, and there's a process for that, and then it gets carted to landfill. But that's not it'd be much more efficient if you just placed it in the trash. To send it through the system and us have to do PM on pumps, or to maintain this equipment that screens it out and then us drive it separately, it's just not a cost-effective method. So we really try to stress, it's overall more cost-effective for the community if, again, trash goes into toilets, or trash goes into trash, not into toilets, so we clarify that. But it also can prevent basement backups and things like that are definitely not pleasant if those occur in a home.
So really, toilet paper is the only thing that you all are suggesting. Well, I've been told that Kleenex does not break down as well as toilet paper. Is that a true statement?
That is true. It does not break down quite as well. Toilet paper is really the extent that I would say of any object, that's not, just your biological process in the toilet. Beyond toilet paper, we would not advocate for anything else. This is only, a treatment plant is a biological process only. So one, if it doesn't disintegrate, you're going to create pump issues. But two, some of the other random things, I have seen footballs, I have seen desks.
Whoa. How do you get a football?
I don't know for sure. We've actually found manholes that we've run into problems, and we pop a manhole and we found that they use the manhole as the trash itself, like an entire desk stuffed into a manhole. So not really sure what the thought process was there. But these things are, very difficult. We've seen a lot of it come through here, but that is not going to break down or go through a pump at any point in time. So.
Okay. One more thing I need to ask. I got asked this question and I couldn't answer it. Obviously, for quite a number of years, we have been airing the Richmond Sanitary District board meetings. Periodically, and I don't even know that it's regular, maybe it's once a month, there's a Richmond Sanitary District Board meeting, then they recess, and that same group of people meets as the Stormwater Board. What's the difference between the Sanitary Board and the Stormwater Board, and what is stormwater, and why do they meet separately, and help me out, I couldn't explain. Listen, it's a meeting, we cover it.
Right.
Because some of the conversation is the same.
A lot of it is. I'm not sure the 100% exact reasoning why it became two boards. I think because when the long-term control plan and the order to separate sewers came out, again, you're separating sanitary from your storm, and the building a whole facility, and how that probably was perceived at the beginning was just, they wanted two regulatory authorities, because again, there's a lot of different regulations that were coming out, a lot of new pieces were that, and I think they just wanted to have separate meetings from there. But that aside as well, the sanitary district operates out of a few different account numbers, and the stormwater, again, it became its own account number. And as such, when we present to the board a lot of times separate things, it may be, I'm doing this sewer, but part of it's going to go for the sanitary, and then some of the stuff I separate out goes to stormwater. So it's just a cleaner accounting purposes for us to keep track what went towards all that stormwater and that separation on that side, and what goes towards the actual sanitary sewers.
And the stormwater is just what falls from the sky?
Essentially, stormwater is just rainwater. That can come in the form of rain that's run off of parking lots or running down a road. The gutter in your house will likely be directed towards a stormwater drain. But it can also come from detention ponds and retention ponds that are built into, which is the same thing. It's rainwater, but it's a place designed to capture it, particularly see it in neighborhoods or developed areas. So like they have a large parking lot, and obviously getting it down one small drain might be tough. So they'll build a retention pond or a detention pond to kind of give that water someplace else to go and set and more slowly re-enter the stormwater system.
Cool. I want to give you a couple of minutes there may be something I didn't ask you that you think the community needs to know. There may be something that you just feel you want to tell the community. Maybe you just want to brag on your employees because, I've met some nice people out here, but I know people come out, they pay their bills. Sometimes people paying bills is not a happy thing. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to kind of talk to the community. What do they need to know about the sanitary district, how to make you all's job easier, how to keep their bills lower, whatever the case may be?
I could easily talk forever on any one of these topics. This is a very kind of a general overview. But I'll just touch a couple things. One is compliance. When we talk about how to place trash in a Rosie or recycling in a Ritchie or the cardboard, it goes a long way towards overall clean. If your regular trash isn't bagged, the way those trucks work, that trash will a lot of times blow out and be loose out of the truck, and then it requires us to come back in and pick it up. That's not an efficient use of that. I think we showed perhaps down at the MRF, the recycling facility, those trucks collect the recycling, but then it is dumped on a floor and hand sorted. So obviously the more things that don't belong there that are there, or it just spends a lot more time and effort to separate those. So compliance and how we set these up really goes a long way to how efficient we are in those processes. The other piece is, I would love to brag upon our staff. Wastewater, sanitation overall is not a glamorous topic. Like I said, it's just not something people are just like loving to talk about. It's one of those things that's out of sight, out of mind, but it is very much a critical infrastructure, and public health greatly depends upon our services. And there's a lot of, it's much more technical than people realize, and all the tours I give, everybody walks away, just, wow, I didn't know it was that big, or I didn't know so much was involved. I flush it and it goes somewhere else, and they don't realize that it's, the road around the treatment facility in the circle is almost a mile long road just to go around the facility. There's a lot going on. I talked about the energy savings on that blower technology being $15,000 to $18,000 per month. Well, then you can imagine we're using a lot of electricity to be able to cut that much. There's a lot going on in these processes. The biological process, very tedious, but we have a lot of very experienced staff, and like I said, once people get here, they're usually very passionate about it and they stay. Our engineering department, everybody has 20 plus years in there. In the wastewater department, you're gonna almost the same story of 15 to 20 years, everybody. The laboratory, you just get people very passionate about the environment, and we are, and I think that's, a lot of people don't think about how environmental this aspect of our job is, that how much wastewater we're cleaning, how much biosolids we're creating for reuse. So not that you need to come out and thank us all the time, but we would love for you to realize just how much we are trying to do for this community and be environmental stewards, and to keep the quality of this community as great as we can, both that way and again being economic stewards, trying to keep things at cost. We spend a lot of time researching technologies and how to make things efficient, build it once, use it twice, and I'm grateful, very grateful for the staff we have here and the ability we have had to do that. So.
You've talked about the environment on more than one occasion, and how passionate you all are about that. Where does that passion come from?
Everybody probably has a different story. I grew up not too far from here, Abington, a little town. I'm a farm ground outside of Abington. In a family that had one car at that time, and I spent a lot of my time outside. I canoed and fished the river just south of the treatment plant here for as far back as I can remember. So my dad loved to go hiking and be outdoors. So I think that was just instilled into me as a young age, and I've always valued my time. I'm one of those people who grew up really pre-internet and all this stuff, so there was a lot more outdoor time, I feel like, and I think that's the same here. A lot of the people worked on farms, or they, just some aspect were really touched by the outdoors in this community in some way, or used it. And then when you realize how much you can do here, like I said, average day is 11 million gallons of wastewater cleaned. We're putting back almost at a 1-to-1 ratio to the river. So anything south of here is basically 50% of Richmond's wastewater that had been cleaned. Weather affects that, rain events, it's not quite as true, but at a general standpoint that's there. And I saw in my time growing up here, I didn't see any bald eagles when I was a kid and all that time here. I see a bald eagle here at the plant almost every single day. So seeing those river corridors being reestablished at 1970s, the Clean Water Act came in, and as the river corridors have been cleaned up, wildlife has been coming back in. We see a lot more things. There's a wetland actually here at the wastewater treatment plant that's fed solely off of the wastewater that comes through this facility. It's bled off there. The city built that, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, just kind of to restore a natural wetland back to this area. And you can see anything. So it's nice to be able to sit at work and look out your office and see bald eagles and beavers and white-tailed deer, coyote, turkey. You see it all kind of moving around here. Herons, there was a swan that stayed here for a couple months earlier in the year. So I just really love being able to see that and, the direct effects of our work. So
cool. Pat, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate you allowing some of the staff to spend some time with us also talking about the sanitary district, stormwater, and all the things that you all are doing. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. We're feel very blessed to have been given the opportunity. Like I said, we'd love to talk about this anytime we get a chance. So the fact that you asked us to sit in is, very thankful for that.
If somebody wants a tour, what do they need to do?
Yeah, just call down here and get a hold of me, and I will do them. I usually do 5 or 6 per year. Usually it's colleges or high schools, but I have given a couple to groups in the public that are, somebody will call and be talking. They'll be like, hey, do you give tours? I'm like, yeah, I'll set one up. And they're like, wait, I know like 5 people I think would like to come. So, I do a couple of these in those kinds of instances. So just call down, ask for me, and we'll work to get something set up. Don't do it in the winter. It's an hour walk outside, so it will be cold. So,
Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Eric.
I want to thank my guests for being on today's show. We talk a lot about wanting a clean and environmentally sound community. We've got a department of the city that is working on that. Think about adding that recycling can for corrugated cardboard and things of that nature. It would really help the community. This weekend, happy Halloween. It's trick or treat time. Lots of times you can see them there on the screen. The Glenn Miller Trick or Treat in the Park is taking place from 5 till 7 on Saturday night. It's free. 12 and under trick-or-treating games, crafts, lots of Halloween memories, and of course some of the other times, Centerville, Fountain City, a lot of the communities are doing them on the 30th. There are a couple that are doing them on the 31st, so definitely take a look at that and be aware. Be nice. Bring me lots of chocolate. Richmond Civic Theater is having their final weekend of Wait Until Dark. That is going to be going on this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Get out and support Richmond Civic Theater. With the rain and the cold, the leaves are finally beginning to act like they're going to fall, and the Richmond Street Department will begin collecting leaves inside the city limits. That will go on through December 17th, weather permitting. Rake your leaves to the roadways 2 feet from the curb or edge of the road where possible. Leaf piles should be no larger than 2 feet. Keep debris and other things out. If you live on Road 227, there's a lot of information there on the screen. Hopefully you can have a chance to take a look at that and deal with that. It is also getting close to fall tax time, and that will be taking place, the final day to get your payment in, November 10th. There's a treasurer's drop box located on the South 4th Street entrance to the Wayne County Administration Building. You can pay in person at the treasurer's office, or there's other information once again there on the screen for you to be able to do that. That's just some of what's going on around the community. If you missed any of today's show, remember it airs again tonight at 10:30, also tomorrow night at 8, Saturday 8 a.m. and 9 p.m., Sunday 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. Audio of the program can be heard at 6 a.m. on Sunday on G1013 and their sister station, ESPN Radio 1490 and 100.9 WKBV. Thank you very much for watching this week's In Focus on WGTV Channel 11. As always, I wish you well. Be safe this weekend.